It is a spectacular Saturday evening in Starkville, Mississippi, the opening weekend of SEC Conference play, live from Duty Noble Field. SEC baseball presented by Regions Bank tonight. The number 2 LSU Tigers take on the 11th ranked Mississippi State Bulldogs. And good evening, I'm Matt Stewart, joined by former LSU Tigers pitcher Ronnie Rance. And Ronnie, last night LSU rallied from a 4-1 deficit, beat Mississippi State 6-4 in 10 innings. LSU defending SEC regular season champs, Mississippi State defending SEC tournament champs. These two teams figured a battle for the Western Division title all year long.
Yeah, they should be there come May. And you know, for those folks that are big fans of SEC baseball over the last 20 years, you're used to seeing LSU and Mississippi State near the top. And that's what's happened. This Bulldog program has gotten back to importance again in the SEC, a team that can talk about a championship. LSU's kind of been there, and it's good to see these two going at it. Bitter rivals on the field, and last night was a classic.
Absolutely, and both these teams are being led by their sluggers. For LSU, Mason Katz hit two-run homers last night, including the game winner in the 10th inning.
He has been hotter than anyone in the country. He hit a bomb in the 10th inning, his longest home run he said he's ever hit, and he's a guy who's got 8 on the year, 6 home runs in the last 4 games. And in this modern era of college baseball, where if you hit 15 home runs, that's equivalent to hitting 30, and he's off to an unbelievable start for LSU. Really the only power guy in the middle of their lineup.
If anybody's close to being as hot as Mason's Katz, it would be Mississippi State's Hunter Renfroe.
Hunter Renfroe is as talented a college baseball player as you'll see in America. A year ago, he'd swing and miss a little too much for their taste. He has improved that. His batting average is up 150 points from a year ago. He's 6'1", 220 pounds, runs like a deer, hits with power, has the strongest throwing arm of any outfielder in the SEC. Watch for him tonight. He's off to a fantastic start with 6 homers this season.
And let's take a look at the Regions Bank starting lineups for game number 2 here. We'll start with Mississippi State defensively. Amarati behind the plate with Ray at first base tonight, Britton at second, Frazier at short, Detz the third baseman, Robson in left, Bradford in center, and Renfroe in right. Mitchell, of course, the pitcher, but more on him in a moment. Batting order for LSU. 6 right-handers and 3 left-handers in the order. LSU hitting .313 as a team, number 2 in the conference, and they lead the conference with 15 home runs. Jacoby Jones at the top of the order, followed by Laird, the freshman, Brakeman, Rhymes, the SEC Player of the Year, Katz, Ibarra, Moore, Ross, and Stevenson getting the start in center field. Chambra not starting tonight. On the mound for the Mississippi State Bulldogs is their junior right-hander out of Marietta, Georgia, and Wheeler High School, Evan Mitchell.
Look at those fantastic numbers for the 6'2", 175-pound righty. Has 0 wins, 0 losses, but the ERA 2.30, innings pitched 15 2/3. He's punched out 19 hitters, walks a little bit high. He's a 92 to 97 mile per hour right-hander with a power breaking ball in the low 80s. And it's real simple. If he throws strikes consistently, he should have a pretty good night against these LSU hitters. But LSU's game plan will be to try to make him throw strikes. He has a tendency sometimes to be a little wild.
And that's a look at your Regions Bank starting lineups. Regions Bank, official bank of the SEC. Home plate umpire tonight is Joe Marion, with Jay Asher at first base, Jack Cox, the crew chief, at second base, and Todd Henderson at third base. And we're just about set for baseball. Mississippi State 18-3 overall. They have lost 3 of their last 4 after starting the season 17-0. They are 17-3 here at home and 0-1 in the SEC after last night's loss. And LSU comes in at 17-1, 1-0 in the conference, and 2-0 on the road. And Jacoby Jones, who has struggled with the bat this year, but doing a much better job of getting on base, leads things off.
This is a change for LSU. Jacoby Jones hitting in the leadoff spot for the first time this year. He's a guy that's been anywhere from 6 to 9 in the order, but Paul Maneri making a change, took Chambra out of the lineup, and he's got Jacoby Jones hitting at the top.
Breaking ball is fouled off by Jones, and it's 0-2. Jones, you saw the .214 batting average. He hit .338 as a freshman, was a freshman All-American. His average continues to plummet, but what he has done is become more patient at the plate. His 16 walks are more than he had all of last season. It's number 2 in the SEC as the fastball misses low, and it's 1-2. Paul Mainieri in his 7th season as the LSU coach, 275, 123 and 2. He is the second winningest coach in LSU history behind the legendary Skip Bertman, who you played for, Ronnie. And Jacoby Jones swings and misses at the 4th pitch and is thrown out at first, and we have one down.
There you see it right there. Evan Mitchell with a 1-2 curveball, that power breaking ball that Jacoby Jones chased in the dirt. And that is what Mississippi State will try to do against LSU. They were very successful last night throwing those sliders and breaking balls in the dirt LSU was chasing.
Here's Mark Laird, the very impressive freshman for LSU. Swings and misses at the first offering from Mitchell. Count goes 1-1 to Laird, who's hitting .385 on the season with no homers and 6 RBI, but has struck out only 4 times in 65 at-bats. 1-1 pitch, fastball away, 2-1 now.
Laird's a great story for LSU, a guy who in June was going to walk on for the LSU football team as a wide receiver. He was lifting weights, working out with the football team when Paul Mainieri lost a recruit to the draft and called him and said, hey, if you switch over to just baseball, you have a chance to maybe come in here and compete for a starting spot. So at that point, he went in to Les Miles' office, who said, son, who are you? Because he was that far down on the depth chart. Made his decision to go play baseball, and now he's been a starter ever since game 1 as a true freshman.
Breaking ball got away from him. 3-2 now to Laird. Laird, the Louisiana Single-A Player of the Year at Ouachita Christian in Monroe, Louisiana. Payoff pitch. Walked him on 6 pitches. You hit the nail on the head, Ronnie. That is the big problem with Evan Mitchell, and that will ultimately decide how long he goes in this ballgame. That's his 14th walk this season in 16 innings.
Yeah, that is a very high ratio, especially for a guy as talented as Mitchell is. I mean, he is a strikeout pitcher because he throws so hard with an excellent breaking ball. He should be at least 2-to-1 strikeouts to walks. He's barely, not even quite 1.5. And that's something that will continue to work on. Once he finds the rhythm, he's as talented as anybody in the SEC.
Well, when you talk about talented, here is the man you want to talk about. Alex Bregman, the freshman, hitting .392, which is 10th in the conference. A homer and 16 RBI. Across the board, his numbers really jump out at you. Hits this ball in the air to right field. Drifting back on it and battling the sun a little bit is Hunter Renfroe for the second out. Let's take a look at your Mizuno keys to the game, Ronnie.
Well, for LSU, they want to set the table for catch. Last night in the victory, LSU was 0 for 8 in the first 2 spots in the lineup. They've got to get some people on for the hot-hitting Mason Cats. Ryan Eads, their starter, has to go deep. The bullpen got used up a little bit, and LSU's a little thin there. Mississippi State offensive production 6 through 9. That's a soft spot in their lineup. They've got to get something going offensively, and then the bullpen for Mississippi State is the strong suit of their staff. But last night they had 5 walks, gave up the tying and winning runs. They've got to kind of redeem themselves tonight.
Runner takes off after the pitch in the dirt. Advancing to second is Laird. They'll score that a wild pitch. That's the team-leading 4th wild pitch for Evan Mitchell and gets Laird in scoring position. That's a look at your Mizuno Never Settle keys to the game. Mizuno, superior sporting equipment since 1906. Mizuno Never Settle.
There you see, it was just when you throw that hard, it's no matter how good of a defensive catcher you are, it's hard to just slide over there to block a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Amarati's as good as anybody defensively, but he just quite couldn't keep it in front.
Rafe Rhymes count is 1-0 to the SEC Player of the Year. Breaking ball in there for a strike, 1-1. Something happened to Rafe last night that's never happened to him in his LSU career. He struck out 3 times last night, was 0 for 4, but he did have a big walk in the 10th inning to set up the 2-run homer for Mason Cats. 1-1 pitch, breaking ball hit on the ground to the third baseman. Detz fires across to Ray and the inning's over. So the 1-out walk by Mitchell does not hurt him. We played half an inning. LSU scoreless. Mississippi State coming to bat.
Being a trendsetter means you have to continue your trend. Whether it be glasses, shirts, shoes, socks, whatever it may be, you got to continue to evolve it. I draw inspiration from my mom. My mom has a great sense of style. She always makes sure I look nice, even to this day. Do I consider myself a trendsetter? Not trying to be, I just do my own thing.
LSU scoreless. Mississippi State grabbing the sticks for the first time in this ball game here at Duty Noble Field. Time now for the Regions Bank starting lineups. Let's take a look at the lineup for the Bulldogs. As John Cohen stacking up a bunch of left-handers. 6 left-handers in the order tonight against the right-hander Ryan Eads, starting with Frazier at the top. Bradford, Renfro, Detz, Hahn, Robson, Ray, Amirati, and Britton. And defensively for the LSU Tigers, number 1 defensive team in the conference at a .979 fielding percentage. Ross, Katz, Jones, Bregman, Ibarra, Rhymes, Stevenson in center field. Again, Chambra not in the starting lineup. They move Laird over to right field tonight. And Ryan Eads is on the mound for LSU.
Now, Ryan Eads is a junior from just north of New Orleans, right across Lake Pontchartrain. He's a guy that could be a first, second round draft pick in this coming June draft. He throws in the low to mid 90s. You see his numbers very good. No losses on the year. 1.80 earned run average and 25 innings pitched. He struck out 28 and only walked 5. So, you know, the difference between the 2 starters today, Eads is a control guy where Mitchell has a little bit of trouble in that category, but both are strikeout pitchers.
And one change in the batting order for Mississippi State. Didn't want to correct it until I was sure of that, but it's Porter batting in the 5 spot and not Hahn. Porter, the designated hitter, and another left-handed bat in the lineup for Mississippi State.
7 lefties going against Ryan Eads. So John Cohen playing the percentages and loading up his lineup to have an advantage against the righty pitcher today.
Here's Ryan Eads. And Adam Frazier will lead things off, and Frazier takes the pitch outside. Frazier at 400, number 9 in the conference. No homers, 12 RBI. He's number 1 in the conference in runs scored, number 3 in hits with 32. Hits this one on the ground to the second baseman, Jacoby Jones, who gobbles it up and throws him out, 1 down. Jacoby Jones. Every time I see Jacoby Jones, Ronnie, I comment to Paul Maneri, this guy looks like a major leaguer.
Yeah, he's got big leaguer written all over him. He's a young man from Mississippi, right outside of Hattiesburg, who turned down over $1 million out of high school to come to college. This is his draft year, so it's a big season for him, and he's off to a much better start than his numbers show.
Here's C.T. Bradford. Pitch outside from Eads. Bradford had been in a slump. Picked up a couple of hits last night. He's hitting .321, 1 homer and 8 RBI. Had been an 0 for 14 and 1 for 23 slump prior to last night. Count goes 2-0 to C.T. Bradford. He was 2 for 3 last night. His 9th multi-hit game of the season.
Ryan Eads' story well documented, where he had surgery right before his senior year in high school on his shoulder, and did not pitch his senior year in high school. Had he been healthy, there's a really good chance he might not have ended up in college. He was thought of that highly going into his senior season, but he did get healthy. He moved into the starting rotation for LSU towards the end of his freshman year. Here he is as a junior, and Coach Maneri says Nola and Eads, Nola the Friday night starter, and Eads, they're kind of interchangeable. You know, Ryan Eads would be a Friday night starter for a lot of SEC teams, but he's LSU's number 2 guy, and they feel confident in him.
3 balls and a strike. Strike 2 on the corner. Full count now to C.T. Bradford.
Now Bradford thought this was a ball. You see Ross set up, and he maybe reaches over a little bit into the box, but
payoff pitch. 6-pitch walk to C.T. Bradford. So just like Laird, the number 2 hitter draws the walk.
That's good news for Mississippi State, because, you know, having that runner at first, now you get a pitch to Renfro a little bit.
John Cohen in his 5th season, 143 and 115. Record really not reflective of the job that he's done here. His first 2 seasons, they really struggled. The last 2 seasons, they have been on the verge of a team that might be able to get to Omaha, and he feels like this year they are one of those 6 to 7 SEC teams that might be able to get there. Hunter Renfro drives this one into right field. It's going to fall in front of Laird for a base hit. So 2 aboard for the Bulldogs.
There you see that's a tough sun out there in right field. Laird, who normally a center fielder, playing right field. Renfro gets jammed, but initially Laird broke back a step before he came in. That hesitation cost him having any chance of getting that ball, and Mississippi State gets a little blooper hit.
That's a good call there, Ronnie, because I thought the ball was driven harder off the bat than it was. Turned out to be a blooper, but Laird, as you said, staring right into that sun, was fooled by it momentarily, which was just enough for it to drop.
And you see Laird kind of gauging the sun right there. He's struggling with it. Even with glasses, you can see the shadow on his face.
Here's Alex Detz. Detz is playing third base tonight. He has been playing first base primarily the entire season, but Wes Ray, slowly mending from a quad injury that has sidelined him intermittently for 13 games this season, is playing first base tonight. So they moved Detz over to the other corner. And John Cohen feels like this gives them a much better offensive team.
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously Detz is having a fantastic start to his season with that gaudy .433 average. He never dreamed that he'd have that kind of production filling in for Ray. And if Ray can give him anything like he did towards the end of last year, that middle of the lineup is going to be pretty powerful when you look at the paper and you see names like Renfro and Detz. Then you throw a Ray down there a couple of spots. You know, Mississippi State, one of the few teams with real home run potential in their lineup.
1 ball and 1 strike to Detz. That .433 average tied with his partner Renfro for number 3 in the SEC. Count now 2-1. And Mississippi State has an offense this season. Last year, that was the one thing. They could not score runs. They're number 1 in the conference right now with a .322 batting average. They're number 1 in RBI. They're number 1 in runs. They're number 1 in hits. They're number 1 in doubles. Number 6 in home runs. They're number 1 in triples. That's a different Mississippi State team than we saw a year ago. Swing and a miss. Actually fouled it off, and it's now 2-2.
I think that's why they will be in the conversation come middle of May for a championship, because they've got some power arms in their starting rotation and in their bullpen. They've got pro major league prospect potential on that pitching staff, and you combo that with a little bit of offense, that's a scary thing.
Detz was 3 for 5 last night, missed the breaking ball that time, and he goes down swinging for the second out.
Haynes with a real nice 2-2. Looked like a little slurve ball. Let's see if it was a slider or a curve. Looks like an old Uncle Charlie there. Didn't break a ton, but it was hard, and Detz didn't pick up the spin.
And here's the designated hitter, Trey Porter. Porter did not play last night, hitting .279, a couple of homers, and 8 RBI. But with John Cohen stacking the order with left-handers, Porter gets the call this evening. Ball goes to the backstop. That was not fouled off. Everybody moves up 90 feet. That fooled Porter, fooled Ross as well.
Yeah, that's a surprise, because Ross is one of the best defensive catchers in the league. A guy who will have a decision to make after his junior year. He knew the breaking ball was coming, but still it got between the wickets and he couldn't keep it in front. That was a nice gift right here for Mississippi State. They moved 2 runners in a scoring position. Rachi knew it was coming, but didn't get the tailgate down. It went all the way to the wall.
So no balls and a strike to Trey Porter. The count now 1-1. That was ruled a wild pitch. It did scuff the dirt as it got by Ross.
Surprised when I look at the stat sheet that Porter doesn't have a homer yet on the year, because I watched this young man in BP and he unloaded a couple out into the tailgate crew in right field.
Ball hit on the ground to the first baseman Katz, who will take it himself, and the inning comes to a close. So 2 base runners for Mississippi State, but they can't do anything with them, and we have completed 1 in Starkville with no score.
Wouldn't it be cool if we took the already great Sentra apart and completely reimagined it with best-in-class combined MPG? Not to mention more interior room than Corolla and Civic. and a technology suite with Bluetooth, navigation, and other handy stuff. Yeah, that would be cool. Introducing the all-new Nissan Sentra. It's our most innovative Sentra ever. Nissan, innovation that excites.
Baseball presented by Regions Bank. It's the opening weekend of conference play. Two of the longest and most fierce rivals in the conference starting things off this year against each other. Number 2 LSU, number 11 Mississippi State, scoreless after 1 inning. Great game last night, Ronnie. 6-4 in 10 innings as LSU rallied from a 4-1 deficit. LSU's ace, Aaron Nola, wasn't his sharpest, but they still found a way to win the ballgame.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those games where John Cohen, I'm sure, thought we should have won that game. You know, they got a very good starting pitching performance. They had a 4-1 lead late, but give LSU credit. They came back against a very good Mississippi State Bulldog bullpen. And then Mason Katz, what can you say? He put LSU on their back offensively with 2 home runs and the game winner in the 10th.
Well, here is Mason Katz, 364, 8 homers, 6 of them in the last 4 games, and 31 RBI. I wrote a blog prior to the start of the conference weekend, and certainly Mason Katz was one of those guys I considered for my, first 4 weeks SEC Player of the Year. But I gave it to Stuart Turner of Ole Miss, the catcher with the Rebels, who's off to a great start. But I might have to reevaluate after watching Katz in person here.
Yeah, maybe he's your guy for the first 5 weeks. You got to add that extra week.
Exactly.
The 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I'll give you the tie-in between Mason Katz and Mississippi State. Mason Katz went to Jesuit High School in New Orleans, which is one of the great high school baseball programs in the state of Louisiana. Will Clark went to Jesuit High School, one of the all-time college baseball greats who played here at Mississippi State. There's a connection there. Will Katz and the Clarks know each other.
Well, here's another connection. Mason swinging the bat like Will Clark, just
true.
from the other side of the plate. 3-1 is hit in the air to left field, deep left field, back to the wall, and was it caught?
Home run.
Wow, Katz does it again. Mason Katz has homered again, his 9th of the season. Gets the handoff from the third base coach, and wow.
Yeah, Jacob Robson gave it a heck of an effort out in left field. And it looked for a minute like he might catch it. This is a sky ball. I mean, it almost looked like he got jammed, didn't it? When he hit this ball straight up into the air, just kept going, and then Robson got near it, but couldn't haul it in. It made it over the fence by about 2 feet. And it measures about 330 to the spot where he hit it. So that went about 333 to left field. And another home run by Mason Katz.
That's 3 in his last 6 at-bats. And 7 in the last 5 games.
And Mississippi State's got to be shaking their head. I mean, he's really the guy in LSU's lineup right now that has figured out these Mississippi State Bulldog pitchers. I mean, no one else for LSU is really doing much offensively except one guy.
And I have to go back and hit the delete button on that blog.
Quickly.
Because Mason Katz right now is the leader in the clubhouse for SEC Player of the Year with 9 home runs already. He hit 13 last year, which was a really good season. He's going to obliterate that number at this rate.
I mean, that's amazing. Before each and every game, Mason Katz drinks this green liquid that his dad makes him. And it's kind of fitting with St. Patrick's Day being tomorrow.
Sure.
A lot of people are drinking a lot of green liquids this weekend. But it's a homemade concoction of like 20 herbs and vegetables and fruits and all that. And it's nasty. I've tried it, man. But he drinks it before every game. They might start selling that stuff in Louisiana because he has been on fire this year.
I'd like to get some of that stuff. Ibarra goes down looking. So Ibarra caught looking after the home run by Katz.
You see right here the power fastball just froze him right on that outside corner. And Evan Mitchell can be 92 to 97 miles an hour. He'll touch 97. That's unheard of.
John Cohen feels like he's got top 5 round stuff The main thing as to whether he's drafted higher in those top 5 rounds or lower in those top 5 rounds will depend upon his ability to control his pitches.
And you can tell Evan Mitchell will get a little bit bigger, stronger, and start to put things together, in the years to come as he enters pro baseball. 6'2", 175 pounds, probably got 15, 20 more pounds in that frame.
Ground ball off the bat of Tyler Moore. Thrown out by Britton, and there's 2 down. And Ty Ross will step to the plate. Ty Ross and Jacoby Jones, they're 2 juniors, veterans of many big ball games, just really struggling with the bat right now. 216, 2 homers, 8 RBI. Paul Maneri told us, however, that he's really not that concerned because he's seen those guys do it before. He feels like they will eventually come around.
Yeah, I mean, you got to hope if you're Paul Maneri that that's the case. That last swing by Ross looked like he made the decision to swing before he saw the ball. Right, but yeah, as good as LSU's playing right now and ranked to the number 2, 3 in the polls, those 2 guys, Ross and Jones, are key to whether or not LSU has a chance to win a championship. So if they can get going, this team's lineup gets very good in a hurry.
Tapper off the bat of Ross that goes foul.
One thing that Ross can hang his hat on is that he's one of the better catch and throw guys in the country. Not many teams want to run against Ty Ross. He's got an excellent arm at second base, and he's continued to work on his body and get in better shape, which has made him a better defensive catcher over the last year and a half.
Count is 0-2 to Ty Ross. Batted .292 a year ago with 3 homers and 41 RBI. Season was interrupted in May by an appendectomy, but he came back from that and won NCAA All-Regional honors, but not like that he did. Goes down swinging on 4 pitches, and that's the end of the second. But no new news here. Mason Katz remains red hot. A blast over the left field wall puts LSU on top 1-0.
I called the car myself.
I'll give you a lift, sir.
Who are you again?
Daniel, sir. Accounts.
Who's this?
This is Daniels, key player over in accounts.
Daniel's director of accounts.
The all-new Nissan Sentra.
Good luck in there.
Come on, Daniels, you're VP of accounts, aren't you?
It makes a powerful first impression. It's our most innovative Sentra ever. Nissan, innovation that excites.
SEC Baseball on CSS is brought to you by Regions Bank. Create flexible budgets and track goals all in one place with Regions My Green Insights. That's pretty smart. Regions, it's time to expect more. Regions Bank, official bank of the SEC. Bottom of the second inning, LSU on top of Mississippi State 1-0 here in Game 2 of this SEC opening weekend series. Pitch fouled off by Robson, and he's behind in the count, 0-2. Matt Stewart along with Ronnie Rance. Mason Katz, home run in the top of the second inning with our lone run so far here tonight. Robson at 257, no homers and 7 RBI, making his 9th start of the season. Ball hit in the air to center field. Going back on it is Stevenson and having to give it a long chase and making the grab. Stevenson flashing his skills and his speed, going back over his left shoulder to make that grab.
Now Stevenson, a true freshman from St. Thomas More High School in Lafayette, Louisiana. He kind of took a fortuitous route to that one, but he got there. He's a heck of an athlete who's making the start in center field. He's only got a couple of starts under his belt this year, but very talented. True freshman in center, true freshman in right, and a true freshman at short for LSU.
Wes Ray takes a strike from Eads. Ray at 300 on the season and very minimal action. Ray's been sidelined. 1 homer and 2 RBIs. He's 4 for 13 on the season. This is just his 5th start of the year. He started last night at DH, was lifted for a pinch runner in the 7th inning. But a quad injury, basically since the 2nd game of the season, has kept him out of the lineup except for a few games here and there. And he is a scary-looking guy. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, if you're a pitcher, he is a scary-looking guy at 6'5", 272.
I give Wes Ray a lot of credit. You know, when I played for LSU 20 years ago, they listed me at 6'5", about 245 one year and 250 the other, even though I was about 265, 270. So I give Wes Ray credit for being honest and just putting the real number in the books. Most people aren't real truthful.
I think it was Tim Corbin who told us last year that Wes Ray reminds him of Steve Balboni.
That's a good description. Balboni, a powerful right-handed hitter, played in the major leagues a long time.
Had a team-leading 5 home runs a year ago, team-leading 41 RBI. And draws a walk here with 1 down in the second. Second walk for Eads in this ball game, which is pretty big considering he'd walked only 5 in 25 innings entering this game.
Yeah, he has not looked real sharp early in this game. He left 2 runners on base in the first. He got out of it with runners at second and third to end the inning. But he's missing with his fastball. He hasn't had good command with the fastball early on, so he's got to find it for LSU, or Mississippi State will exploit that weakness.
Here's Nick Amarati. Amarati's kind of the number 2 catcher on this team, behind Mitch Slaughter, who started last night and will start again tomorrow with the day game. Amarati at 258, no homers and 3 RBI, and he's making his 11th start of the season.
John Cohen felt like last year he rode his starting catcher a little too hard, and he kind of wore down at the end of the season. So this year he wanted to freshen up the catching spot and keep some fresh legs in there. So as of right now, he anticipates starting Amarati at least once a week to give starter a break.
You think Slaughter could use a break? 62. He started 62 of 64 games a year ago.
I mean, Slaughter is, when you look up catcher in the dictionary, he's what a catcher looks like. Amarati, not so much, but he might be as a better catch and throw guy, whereas Slaughter has the all-around package with the offense.
Yeah, Amarati has thrown out 4 of 6 would-be base stealers so far this season. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Amarati, raised down at first base with 1 out.
Mason Katz holding on Ray, playing behind Ray at first base.
Called strike 3. And Amarati will head back to the dugout. Second strikeout for Ryan Eads.
You see a good breaking ball that freezes Amarati right here. Catches a little bit of the outside corner, right on the outside corner. He thought it was out, but all that matters is Joe Marion's opinion, the home plate umpire.
Here's Matthew Britton. Britton batting for the first time in the series. Did not play last night, hitting .250 with no homers and 1 RBI, making just his 2nd start of the season. And that was one of the things that John Cohen talked to us about, the flexibility he has in his lineup this year that he did not have a year ago. He's able to do a lot more situational type substitutions, right and left-handed bats depending upon the pitcher. And also, if a guy's just not swinging the bat that well, he's able to get him out of there now because he's got some options off the bench that he did not have a year ago. 0-2 pitch to Britton. Missed high, 1-2.
That's always the sign of a good program, when you have that depth to be able to play a lot of different guys, to be able to play that lefty-righty game, to have options, to have some pressure. If guys aren't producing in the starting lineup, if they know they've got another option to go to on the bench, it's amazing what a little competition can do for your play on the field. And LSU feels that they've got a lot of depth. Mississippi State feels that way. All the top programs in the country have more than just 9 out there.
1-2 pitch, missed low, 2-2. There is no greater motivation than the bench. If you're playing, you don't want to be on it. And if you're on it, you want to be playing. You just don't want to be on the bench. And that's goes across the board for whatever sport you're talking about. Two-two pitch, struck him out. And Eads, with consecutive strikeouts of the 8 and 9 hitters in the Mississippi State order, ends the second inning. We've completed 2 from Starkville. LSU on top 1-0.
Wouldn't it be cool if we took the already great Sentra apart and completely reimagined it with best-in-class combined MPG? Not to mention more interior room than Corolla and Civic. And a technology suite with Bluetooth, navigation, and other handy stuff. Yeah, that would be cool. Introducing the all-new Nissan Sentra. It's our most innovative Sentra ever. Nissan, innovation that excites.
Left Field Lounge here at Dudy Noble Field, one of the legendary venues in all of college baseball, not only the Southeastern Conference. They got the grill going.
Had a few burgers and sausage in my time out there. You know, as harsh as they can be on the opposing team, they're just as good. You know, when the game's over, come on out, have something to drink, have some food. I mean, they treat you good here at Dudy Noble Field.
Andrew Stevenson is at the plate, batting for the first time in this series. Stevenson making just his 3rd start of his career. 308, 1 homer and 3 RBI, and got hit by the pitch. So a leadoff hit by pitch for LSU to start the 3rd inning.
Trying to throw a fastball away on the outside corner, and he missed all the way in and got him on the heel. That's a bad miss and not a great sign for Mississippi State, where Mitchell misses. We're talking about 25, 26 inches he missed by.
4th batter that he has hit this season. Jacoby Jones, top of the order, struck out his first time up.
Jacoby Jones at second base for the 3rd year in a row. He played center field a couple of weeks last year at the beginning of the season. Paul Maneri had visions of finding another Mikey Matuk because, I mean, he's got the similar body type. Mikey about 6'2", Jones about 6'3". They both run like the wind, very fierce competitors. He'd be a great center fielder and may end up playing that one day in professional baseball. But after a couple of weeks of that experiment, they felt like they missed him on the infield. They moved him back there, and he's been playing second ever since.
Tapper to the shortstop. Frazier goes to second, on to first, and a double play. A 6-4-3 double play for the team that turns them more than anybody else in the Southeastern Conference. That's their 29th of the season.
That's a great double play for Mississippi State because there's a lot of speed on the base path. Stevenson and Jones, 2 of the 3 fastest players on LSU's team, and they turn it nicely. Now, John Cohen credits that great defense by Mississippi State on the infield for taking live practice off of the bats in batting practice. You know, oftentimes in BP, you'll see the cage on the field. Guys are hitting. They're just kind of shagging in the outfield. Nobody plays the ball live off the bat. Well, not Mississippi State, and that's improved their defense.
Laird hits this one to left field. It's run down by Robson towards the gap. And the inning comes to a close. So after the hit batter, it's a race by a double play, and then the catch by Robson in left field.
Being a trendsetter means you have to continue your trend. Whether it be glasses, shirts, shoes, socks, whatever it may be, you gotta continue to evolve it. I draw inspiration from my mom. My mom has a great sense of style. She always makes sure I look nice, even to this day. Do I consider myself a trendsetter? Not trying to be, I just do my own thing.
Mississippi State. Paul Maneri now joins us down in the dugout. Coach, thanks a lot for being with us. And man, what more can we say about Mason Katz? I mean, he's hit 7 home runs now in his last 5 games. He has 9 already this season.
I don't know what you can say about that. It's amazing. You know, when he gets hot, though, he gets hot, and he's got power. So he's obviously seeing the ball pretty good and putting some good swings on him.
In between innings, we saw you went out there and talked to the umpire, Coach. What was that all about?
Well, I just thought Jacoby beat that double play throw to first base. I just want to see what he saw.
Ryan Eads looks like he settled in nicely those last 2 batters after maybe a little bit of a struggle with his command early on.
Well, Ryan pitches in the clutch. That's the thing. He gets in trouble a lot, but he never gives up, and he continues to bear down, and it gets a lot of big outs.
Paul, we'll let you get back to work. Thank you very much.
Guys.
Adam Frazier leading off the third inning for Mississippi State. Grounded out to the second baseman his first time up. Frazier is just a really good ball player. You see his average now at 395 after his ground out his first time up, but he leads the conference in triples with 4. This is a triples kind of ballpark. As John Cohen told us, you know, everything about this ballpark from his standpoint says we need a team that can run, and Frazier can certainly do that for you.
Well, it's playing small this weekend, but that's rare that the ball kind of carries here.
And that's a base hit for Frazier.
That's exactly the approach you want from a leadoff hitter. A guy doesn't try to pull it, try to do too much with it. Ball in the outer half. He just shot it through the hole to left field. He's got more walks than strikeouts this year. Look at this approach. Fastball away, just right on it, barrels it up and closes the front side and hits it sharply to left field. Great approach and leads the team in stolen bases. So now he gives Ryan Eads something to worry about over there at first base.
Frazier is 6 out of 7 in stolen base attempts this year. Mississippi State 4th in the conference with 28 stolen bases. And C.T. Bradford goes after the first pitch, hits it down the line and left, but it's going to find the seats. Bradford walked his first time up. He's number 4 in the conference with 20 runs scored. Has started every one of the Bulldogs' 22 games.
Now, last year, C.T. Bradford, was injured and missed kind of the second half of that season, and it really fell apart for them a little bit in that outfield without him. But now he's back. He missed most of the fall, kind of rehabbed, got healthy, sliding into second base. He injured himself last year. And glad to have him back in the lineup. His bat hasn't come around completely, but it's getting better.
Missed 33 games last year because of injury after making 31 starts. Was a 2011 SEC All-Freshman outfielder, and he was the MVP of the 2011 Atlanta Regional that we televised here on CSS, where they swept through and knocked out Georgia Tech on the Yellow Jackets home field in Atlanta. And then they went on to Gainesville, Florida, and darn near beat the Florida Gators team that ended up playing in the National Championship Series against South Carolina. One ball and one strike.
Eads is a good guy to run on if you're Frazier over there, because he oftentimes lifts that leg to kind of gather himself and can be slow to the plate. The problem is LSU has one of the best throwing catchers in college baseball in Ty Ross.
Throw over again. Frazier chased back. Eads was 5-3 with a 3.83 ERA. 63 strikeouts, 28 walks in 94 innings a year ago. 1-1. Tapper down the first base line, but foul.
Threw a little straight changeup that time, which you'll see Ryan Eads work that changeup in a lot more, especially the lefties, because it'll have that natural tail. With a right-handed pitcher throwing a lefties, it'll tail away from the hitters. So second time through the lineup, if Eads can get ahead, he'll probably start throwing that changeup a lot more.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Frazier down at first, Bradford at the plate. And again, Eads chases him back. Eads, a 19th round draft pick by the Rockies, coming out of high school in 2010, out of North Shore High School in Slidell, Louisiana, and has been a mainstay in the Tigers rotation. His 3rd year in a row he's been in the starting rotation. Bradford swings and misses. Advancing to second base on that play was Frazier. Ball got away from the catcher Ross. It was not foul tipped, so that's an out, but advancing to second base, Frazier on the wild pitch. I assume it was a wild pitch.
That's a good read by Frazier. It's a 1-2 breaking ball. He's going to be in the dirt. Ross knows it's coming, and he does a pretty good job of keeping it in front. But you see the shuffle, and as soon as he read that ball being anywhere near and short of Ross, he took off. Didn't wait for it to kick away from the catcher. That's the key to a good read by our base runner.
Here's Hunter Renfroe with a runner in scoring position. Breaking ball hit to Bregman, takes a wicked hop on him, and Bregman's just going to have to pick it up. That's an E6 on Bregman, who was errorless in his first 13 games of his college career. That's just his 4th error. That's a tough error right there because it ate him up.
Yeah, just kind of hopped up a little higher than he expected at the last minute. Normally you like to try to feel that ball out front of your body a little more. That time it took a sharp hop and he got hit in the stomach with it and couldn't get the handle on it.
Just the 15th error for LSU in their first 19 games of the season. Number 1 in the conference with a .979 fielding percentage. But now there's 2 aboard for the Bulldogs here in the bottom half of the 3rd, 1 out, and here's Alex Detz. Detz struck out his first time up. He has reached base in 17 straight games. John Cohen refers to him as a poor man's Don Mattingly.
That's not a bad description.
I'll take that.
I mean, especially his approach, the way he kind of punches over and looks a little bit nonchalant there at the plate. That's very similar to Mattingly, although Mattingly had a lot more open stance.
Unlike Donnie Baseball, he's playing 3rd base tonight, though, but comparison still applies.
You know, that error by Bregman, that was his 4th error of the year, and he's already got maybe more errors than Austin Nola had all of last year, which it's not a bad thing. LSU's Austin Nola, who's now playing professional baseball, was one of the best defensive shortstops in all of college baseball, and Bregman, who's a true freshman, learning to play the shortstop position.
Hit to Bregman, tossed to second. Jones gets the out there on to first to Katz, and that's an easy 6-4-3 double play. So ground ball hit to Bregman, erases the error that he had committed 1 batter earlier. Another double play turned by the Tigers here. It's still 1-0. By Regions Bank. LSU on top 1-0 here as we go to the top of the 4th. John Cohen now joins us down in the Mississippi State dugout. And John, you guys do a better job of turning double plays than anybody in the conference. But this weekend, I know you probably hit into too many as well, and you had another one right there.
Yeah, you know, we need to be able to start some runners up to avoid that. But when you're behind in a count, you know, it makes it a lot more difficult. And you got a guy with a pretty good arm who elevates pitches, and especially in that situation when you got you know, left-handed hitter and you know, you miss arm side and go right into a play at 3rd. So yeah, we need to create some balls, and we need some balls that are hard. You know, to hit into double plays, you got to hit some balls hard also.
Looks like we're on our way to another classic between LSU and Mississippi State. The last 6 games or so, you guys have been to extra innings 3 times with these guys.
Yeah, we have. It's still way too many of those, but we've been fortunate to come out in front at least 3 in a row until last night, and so it'd be nice to be able to pull this one out.
What have you seen from Evan Mitchell so far?
Well, you know, his command's been solid. You know, he's got to stay in the zone. His stuff is good enough that when he's in the zone, he can get people out for sure.
Thank you, John. Do appreciate it.
Thank you.
1-0 here. LSU has turned 5 double plays. Mississippi State has hit into 5 double plays the last 2 games. It hit into only 13 in their first 20 games.
This SEC baseball these days is all about pitching and defense. John Cohen was pointed out to us before the game that of the 14 teams last night that played Friday night SEC baseball action, only 3 had double-digit hits. And that is quite a difference from just maybe 3-4 years ago. It tells you how different this game has changed with the new bats. Well, now in year 3 of the new bats. It's all about pitching and defense.
Bregman goes down on 3 pitches. Strikeout number 3 for Evan Mitchell.
You see Mitchell now with that hard breaking ball. Bregman in an 0-2 count chases it, and you could see he wanted to try to stop his swing halfway through, but Mississippi State has a great scouting report going against these LSU hitters this weekend. When they get ahead, they are burying that hard breaking ball in the dirt, and LSU has not been holding up.
That's 4 strikeouts now for Evan Mitchell. 28 strikes thrown in his 43 total pitches. With Rhymes at the plate, he did not go around as they appeal down to first base umpire Jay Asher, and it's 2-0. Rhymes, reigning SEC Player of the Year, of course, flirted with 500 the vast majority of last season, ended up hitting .421. the 7th SEC player in school history, first-team All-American, 2013 preseason All-American. Led the entire nation with that. I think I said 421. It was actually 431.
Cheated him.
Batting average. He was 100 for 232 on the season.
He was hitting 500 into the first week of May, and then wound up falling, collapsing all the way down to 431.
Well, he's really struggling this year, as you can see. I mean, he's really scuffling. Came in with a 348 batting average. Little tapper right back to the mound, and Mitchell will throw him out. And, you know, Paul Maneri said anybody who thinks that Rafe is going to be able to duplicate or even come close to duplicating what he last year is really small thinking. But I tell you what, that's really hard to come back for your senior year after what you did as a junior. What are you going to do as an encore, as they like to say? I
asked Paul Maneri before the season, what kind of expectations do you have on Rafe Rhymes? And he said, you know, if he hits 360, you know, which is a fantastic year, we want him to hopefully hit about 360. And for most of the year, he's been better than that right now. A little bit of a slump over the last maybe week.
Well, here's Mason Katz. Has already homered again tonight for the 3rd time in this series. He's driven in 5 of the Tigers' 7 runs in this series. .30 pitch, walks on 4. That's probably the best strategy with Katz. Just don't give him anything that he might tempted to swing the bat at.
I can't imagine Mississippi State giving Mason Katz anything to hit the rest of this weekend unless they just have no chance but to pitch to him. John Cohen couldn't believe that they gave up the first homer yesterday. They had a 4-1 lead when Mason Katz popped a 2-run homer to make it a 4-3 game. He really didn't want to pitch to him, and instead they wound up giving up a home run. So I think the strategy is going to be to pitch around him the rest of the weekend.
And then that home run that he hit in the 10th last night was a jaw dropper. That was a moonshot.
It was a 1-0 fastball with a runner at first base and no outs, so they had to pitch to Katz in the extra innings, and he made them pay for it. Hit it well over all the tailgate stuff going on out there in left field.
You think Wes Ray might be asking about that green juice you were talking about? you might be saying, hey, Mason, I know you're playing for the rival, but maybe you could give me some of that green juice of yours.
Here's the best part, is that his dad gives him the green juice in a mason jar. I can't make this stuff up, I promise you.
Sounds like a movie. Ibarra at the plate. Ibarra, junior college transfer, hitting .368, 1 homer and 14 RBI, and he's been really big for them as well. .478 on base percentage, which is number 8 in the conference. And they recruited Ibarra out of Rio Hondo College because they really felt like they weren't going to get Bregman. Bregman was well on his way, most likely to being a first-round draft pick until he had an injury his senior year. So they got Ibarra as kind of insurance, and then they got Bregman too. So they're like, man, we've got 2 shortstops. So Ibarra's playing third base as the throw goes down to first base, and Katz gets back in there. So Ibarra's playing third base for the first time in his career.
And he's doing a great job over there at third base, but it also he can play short if something happens to Bregman. And there's a chance if Jacoby Jones goes pro after this year, which is expected, Ibarra may move over to second base next year.
Tapper on the infield. Frazier has trouble with it, picks it up, and will not be able to make a play at first. So Frazier commits an error. Just his 3rd of the season. Like to welcome all of those on CSS who've been watching LSU's 4-3 softball victory over Kentucky here in the top of the 4th inning. The Tigers with a 1-0 lead on, you guessed it, another home run by Mason Katz in the 2nd inning, his 9th of the season. And the Tigers have something going on here in the top of the 4th with 2 on and 2 out. Matt Stewart and Ronnie Rance with you. And time is called by home plate umpire Joe Marion. Here's your game recap, and it's pretty simple. Just show the Mason Katz at bat. Bam!
There was a pop fly that just kept going and went 2 feet over the wall in left field. And that's it. Ryan Eads started to settle in a little bit after he had 2 runners on in the first inning. He found his mojo. And then LSU rolled it up in the 3rd inning on that 6-4-3 double play.
And we have activity now in the Mississippi State bullpen. Let me tell you, there's one thing John Cohen's not afraid to do, and that's go out to the mound and make a pitching change. He says, you know, a lot of people look at our box score and they see we use 7 pitchers. They say, man, that must have been a bad game. He says, I think it's a great game when we use 7 pitchers because he's got 7 pitchers. He's got more than that he's really confident putting the ball in their hands.
Yeah, and he really believes in it. It's not like this guy, he's experimenting. He has certain roles for all of his relief pitchers. Ross Mitchell's down there warming up, the lefty in the bullpen. He'll take him a little bit to get going. He just got down there, but he has one of the deepest pitching staffs in the country. Kind of like South Carolina back during their 2 national championships in a row. They would pitch 10 to 12 guys out of that on their staff.
Ross Mitchell is the man warming up in the bullpen for Mississippi State. He's kind of the part of the Mitchell tag team that they got going on here when Evan starts the ball game. And Evan's a big, hard thrower, 94, 95 mile per hour. Then they bring in Ross, who, you know, can barely break a pane of glass, with, you know, at 80 miles an hour. But it's a great offset for the opposing team, and it's very well. And let's, you know, in baseball terminology, Ross is the vulture. Evan has no record. He's no wins, no losses. Ross is 4-0.
Yep.
But it's worked very well for Mississippi State. Pitch missed low and inside now to Tyler Moore, and it's 3-0. And this might be the last batter for Evan if he doesn't get him.
And here we see Ray taking the jog to buy some time for that bullpen. As we mentioned, Mitchell just got down there, so they've got to hustle to get him loose. The one thing about John Cohen before the game, I talked to him a little bit about Evan Mitchell, and I said, is he a guy that you can tell early on that he's got it? You know, we don't have anything to worry about. He's got the good command. He said, not really. You know, everything can be going along fine, but sometimes he hits a little bump and it just falls apart, and we've got to make a change quickly.
Ball hit to the second baseman Britton, and Evan Mitchell gets out of the jam.
He weathered the storm there, made a go-to pitch, and got a Tyler Moore to ground out to second base.
2 on for LSU, but none across the plate. They played 3.5, 1-0 Tigers. SEC Baseball on CSS is brought to you by Regions Bank. Create flexible budgets and track goals all in one place with Regions My Green Insights. That's pretty smart. Regions, it's time to expect more. Regions Bank, official bank of the SEC. And by Mizuno, making superior sporting equipment honed through the finest craftsmanship, cutting-edge technology, and passion for the game since 1906. Mizuno, never settle. First batter, leading off the bottom of the 4th, is Trey Porter. Fouled off the first pitch. I want to say hello to Mikey Matuk, who's watching with his buddies and training with the Tampa Bay Rays. Guy was a beast. Ball is hit towards the gap, and it's going to get down and roll. Going to be cut off by Robson, or rather by the left fielder, pardon me, by Rhymes. And in with a double is Trey Porter.
That's a good start for the Bulldogs as they have had some success going the other way against Eads, which is the approach. Mississippi State with 7 left-handed hitters in the lineup. So Eads is going to throw away. They try to go in. He left it a little bit middle of the plate, and Porter just inside out of that ball into the left center field gap. So now Mississippi State has a lot of options with the runner at second and no outs.
3rd double of the season for Trey Porter. So the tying run at second base and nobody out here for Robson. Flew out to center field, was robbed by Stevenson on a fine catch going back towards the wall. Ball taken. And Stevenson and Matuk, continuing the story, played at the same high school.
Yeah, we're talking about LSU's freshman center fielder, Andrew Stevenson, who was chasing after that ball, making a rare start this game. Only Stevenson's 3rd start of the year. And his mentor, Mikey Matuk, watching, who played high school ball at St. Thomas More in Lafayette, same high school that produced Lyle Mouton, who was a great player for LSU in that 1991 national championship team.
Teammate of yours. Robson hitting .316 with runners on and .385 with runners in scoring position. Robson, one of two Canadians, first Canadian players ever in the Mississippi State program. Both of them played for the Canadian national team, Robson and Kyle Hahn. Hahn is a second baseman that they're very high on as well. 2 balls and no strikes. Robson takes a strike there, and it's 2-1.
Yeah, Eads just trying to throw a strike and get an out. You know, you don't want to create a big inning if you're Ryan Eads. You'll let Mississippi State move the runner over. More important to get the out here early in the game.
Fouled off the bunt attempt. 2-2 now to Robson. You talked about the rivalry between these two longtime SEC opponents. Dating back to 1905, they've been playing this baseball series. This is the 375th meeting tonight, with Mississippi State leading the all-time series 204-169 and a tie.
It's a lot of baseball.
A lot
of baseball.
That's more than a lot of major league teams have played each other, I think.
A lot of road trips up and down Highway 55.
LSU has won the last 6 regular season series, including 4 straight series here in Starkville, and 14 of the last 21 meetings overall. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Robson. Porter down at second. Got a piece of it to stay alive, get another pitch.
I was at LSU. We'd make that road trip up here to Starkville. We always looked forward to it. We'd stop off and have dinner in Piccadilly in Jackson, Mississippi, right off the interstate.
Simple pleasures in
Coach
life.
Skip Burtman used to give us some advice. He'd say, look, when you go in through the line at Piccadilly, make sure you smile and ask the people how's their day going. Ask how their families are, because they'll give you a bigger portion of food. So that was always our game plan whenever we played Mississippi State.
That was great wisdom. Smile will get you a lot further. Count remains 2-2 as Robson hanging tough here.
It's a long way away from Canada. Starkville, Mississippi.
2
Canadians on the team for the first time ever. A lot of A. You know what they say? A at the end of everything. Nice hit, A.
2-2. Called strike 3. Strikeout number 5 for Eads.
Now Ryan Eads has found something on that outside corner away from the lefty hitters. You can see Ross framing up that outside corner, and LSU able to get a couple extra inches maybe. They've been able to get a couple of strikeouts tonight where they've moved that corner a little bit away from the hitter.
Eads had a career-high 11 strikeouts a couple of weeks ago in their 7-1 win versus Brown. Allowed only 1 earned run on 5 hits in 6 innings in that victory, as Ray fouls that one off to the right side. Ray walked his first time up. Ray started 64 of 65 games at first base last season, led the SEC in putouts. But has already missed 13 games this year because of that quad injury, fouled back.
How about Ray last year? Led this Bulldog team in home runs with only 5.
Yeah. Like I said, Mississippi State, and they really had trouble with their offense a year ago. Much better offensively this year, as the numbers will testify. 0-2 pitch.
Yeah, Hunter Renfro's already got 6 home runs, which is tops on the team and second in the SEC.
Yeah, Renfro's already hit more home runs than he hit a year ago. Renfro also had 5 to tie Ray for the team lead. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Ray, with Porter still down at second following his leadoff double. Count remains 1-2 to Wes Ray.
Wes Ray from Gulfport, Mississippi, went to Harrison Central High School. Well documented that he was a heck of a football player while he's down there as well. And that region has produced a lot of great players for Mississippi State and LSU over the years. Tigers said Doug Thompson came from that area, who was a star pitcher in their '97 national championship team, played in the major leagues.
1-2 pitch. Hit in the air to center field. Stevenson gives chase, will run it down, and Porter was way off the bag. Might have an opportunity to tag there had he held his position, and now there's 2 down.
Yeah, that's no, you could have tagged, but quite honestly, you're kind of taught to go about halfway with 1 out in that situation. If the ball drops, you score easily. The reason is because the chances are you're going to score from second base anyway with 2 outs. So
correct.
You don't want to run yourself out of an inning. And if he had tagged and maybe the ball drops, he might not have scored.
And tagging in that situation gets you to third, but then there's 2 outs. Sacrifice fly is now out of play. I mean, the only thing, obviously, you're closer to the plate. Wild pitch scores you. That ball is driven towards the gap off the bat of Amarate, but Stevenson closes the ground quickly, makes the play, and the inning is over. So Mississippi State can't do anything with a leadoff double. They've stranded 12 in this series. Wouldn't it be with you? SEC baseball presented by Regions Bank. Pitchers duel here is number 2. LSU leads number 11 Mississippi State. 883 miles to Omaha. Mississippi State would love to get back there.
And both these teams desperate to get to Omaha. And I got to believe that one of them will probably be there. There you see Eads and Mitchell's numbers, both having great nights, 4 innings. Eads given up 3 hits, Mitchell only 1, and it was a homer. That's the difference in the game.
Mississippi State has played in 8 College World Series, never won the national championship. The best they ever did was a 4th place finish. A great team of Will Clark and Jeff Brantley and Rafael Palmeiro back in 1985. Of course, LSU has been to 15 College World Series, more than anybody else in the Southeastern Conference, and they've won 6 national championships.
But LSU has not been to the College World Series since 2009. And their senior class, if they don't go, would be the first senior class to not reach the College World Series in 30 years.
Defeated Texas 2-1 in the 2009 College World Series. The SEC's had a team in the National Championship Series 5 consecutive years now. Of course, won it 3 years in a row, starting with LSU in 2009 and then South Carolina consecutively in 2010, 2011. South Carolina beaten by Arizona in the National Championship Series last year, and prior to LSU winning it, Georgia lost to Fresno State in the 2008 National Championship Series. That's your 5 years in a row. 3-1 pitch. So the SEC nearly, not quite, but nearly as dominant in baseball as they have been in college football. As Ross draws a leadoff walk. That's the 3rd walk by Evan Mitchell.
Yeah, the only difference in football, the SEC West, at least, has really been the dominant side of the conference, whereas in baseball it's been the East, I guess, lately with South Carolina and Florida, and then you had the LSU with the 2009 national championship. So it's kind of been balanced. I think the strength is in the West this year. I think the SEC West is the stronger side of the conference. When you add a Texas A&M, a top 20 team, Arkansas is a preseason number 1. LSU, Mississippi State, Mike Bianco's squad at Ole Miss is always great. Alabama and Auburn. I mean, that's a tough division.
Yeah, there are 4 teams in the SEC East that are that are either at 500 or below 500 right now in their overall record. Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, clearly in a rebuilding year, and Missouri. Andrew Stevenson at the plate, took the first pitch for a ball. It's 1-0. And then at the top of the division, you have Vandy and Kentucky and South Carolina. Stevenson puts down the bunt, and it's bobbled by Detz. Not even really bobbled. He just had it slip out of his hands or just go under his hand. Either way, that's going to be a sacrifice, and we'll see if they scored an error as well.
Well, this is what speed does. It forces the defense to kind of rush itself a little bit. You know, Andrew Stevenson runs extremely well, and Detz knew that. So I think he was maybe trying to move a little quick. Got to be sure to field it first before you can get the out, before you transition the throw.
That is scored a sacrifice and an E5. That's the second error on Detz this season, and I think he might have just taken his eye off the ball because it rolled right under his hand and glove.
Underneath the wickets.
Yeah. So first and second now for LSU here in the top of the fifth, and Jacoby Jones at the plate. First pitch to him is in the dirt. It's 1-0. We mentioned that Jones has vastly improved his patience at the plate with 16 walks this season, but he's also struck out 16 times with his strikeout earlier in the ball game. That is the most on this team.
He's a player. I talked to some pro scouts before the season. I said, you know, what about Jacoby Jones? They said, well, he's probably going into the year the best athlete in all of college baseball as far as a five-tool player with speed and the ability. You know, he projects off the charts for the future. But for right now, he's taken the first step towards being a much better hitter, and that is patience at the plate, trying to read the pitches and not just swing at everything like he did last year when he was a real big-time free swinger.
And Butch Thompson, the pitching coach, is out of the dugout. And they're going to make the change right here, and it's going to be Ross Mitchell. So Evan Mitchell will give way to Ross Mitchell. Our condolences to Butch Thompson and his family. He was not here last night. His father-in-law passed away suddenly. He is back with the ball club here tonight. But our condolences to the family of Butch Thompson as Ross Mitchell makes his way in from the bullpen, and will get the ball from Evan Mitchell. So a pitching change for Mississippi State with LSU on top 1-0.
I called the car myself.
I'll give you a lift, sir.
Who are you again?
Daniel, sir. Accounts.
Who's this?
This is Daniels. Key player open accounts.
Daniel's director of accounts.
The all-new Nissan Sentra.
Good luck in there.
Come on, Daniels. You're VP of accounts, aren't you?
It makes a powerful first impression. It's our most innovative Sentra ever. Nissan, innovation that excites.
It's expected the new pitcher for Mississippi State is the left-handed sophomore Ross Mitchell out of Blackman High School in Smyrna, Tennessee. If I'm not mistaken, that's the same high school that produced David Price.
There you see Ross Mitchell's numbers, who throws about 15 miles an hour slower than David Price. He's about 4-0 with a 0.96 earned run average, but very good numbers. 18 and 2/3 innings pitched, 13 strikeouts, 6 walks, about a 10 to 12 mile an hour difference. But in the middle of the game, when all these hitters are geared up for Evan Mitchell, the 92 to 97 righty, and all of a sudden you go low 80s lefty, it is going to be difficult for these LSU hitters to make an adjustment, and that's what John Cohen is betting on.
What'd you think about Evan Mitchell? He threw 69 pitches, 37 strikes, gave up just one hit, and that was the home run to Katz that it was close to being caught, but it did clear the wall. 3 walks and 4 strikeouts.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the 2 errors also got him out of the game. You know, they made an error here in the top of the 5th, and if not for that, who knows what could have happened. I think he's a young man that you're going to, as the season goes on, he gets more experience. He's going to get better and better and better. Evan Mitchell, a nice outing tonight. He's kept Mississippi State right in the game with a chance to win.
So Jacoby Jones steps up, 2 aboard and nobody out here. Jones is 0 for 2 tonight. He is 0 for 6 in the series. And fouls off the first pitch. Getting the timing down is going to be the issue here.
Came right at him with a 2-0 fastball and blew it right by him. Watch his unique delivery, how he pats his glove. Kind of breaks his hands. When he comes set and he goes to the plate, Mitchell will break his hands and then kind of bring them back together. Just kind of a little timing mechanism that helps him gather himself and throw strikes.
2 balls and 2 strikes here. Ball hit in the air to center field, and that ball is going to get by the center fielder. Bradford finally picks it up right there at the track, coming around to score. Ross, and then the ball gets by the catcher, and Stevenson ends up falling on top of the plate for the 3rd run.
Now LSU got a break, caught a break right there as Andrew Stevenson almost ran up the back of Ross. Stevenson's at first base. Now Jones hits it into the gap. It's a double, but Ross wasn't sure. He's going to tag, and Stevenson, the runner from first, is running up his back. They've got Stevenson dead at the plate. Instead, the ball's 1 hop, gets away from the catcher, and LSU gets 2 runs out of it instead of just 1.
That's one way to score.
The Russian judge ruled that a 9.7 on the on that flop.
He tagged the plate with his right shoulder. 2nd double of the season for Jacoby Jones, and his 9th and 10th RBI makes it a 3-0 game. He's now at 3rd. They did score that a double, and he went to 3rd on the ball that got away.
That ball kind of carried a lot more than we thought off the bat of Jones. It just shot out into the gap in right center. I thought it wasn't hit as well as it ended up being.
They did not score an error on that ball, even though it got by the catcher. So 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Mark Laird. And LSU has opened up a 3-0 lead. Laird walked in the 1st, flew out to left in the 3rd. Swings and misses at that one, and there's 1 down in the inning.
That was a nice pitch by Ross Mitchell to get Laird. Needed a strikeout right here, got it. Threw that slider down and away, and you could see Laird with kind of that Ichiro swing, you know, as he's bailing out to first base, kind of elated, and missed badly on that excellent slider by Ross Mitchell.
Here's Alex Bregman. Bregman's 0 for 2 in this game and has committed an error. Very Alex Bregman-like game. If you'll read that blog that I was talking about earlier, he's my candidate after 4 weeks for SEC Freshman of the Year. He's hitting .464 with runners in scoring position. There's really not much that he has not been able to do thus far. But he came to LSU very highly touted. As we alluded to earlier, he was a likely 1st-round pick until suffering a broken finger on his throwing hand in high school that required surgery. Infield's in here with 1 ball and 1 strike and popped up out of play. It's 1-2. And he told major league teams, look, you take me in the 1st round, great. If you don't take me in the 1st round, I'm going to LSU. And a Major League Ball Club called him, unnamed Major League Ball Club, called him late in the process, said, look, we're going to take you in the 2nd round, and offered him said, we're going to pay you 7 figures, and he rejected that and stayed true to his word and signed at LSU.
He wound up getting taken in the draft late just on a flyer, but he tweeted right after the 1st round passed, I'm headed to Baton Rouge, and Almaneri very happy to have him. He'll have him for 3 years.
2-2. Tapper back to the pitcher, coming to the plate, and the tag is put on by Amarati. And they cut down Jacoby Jones on a comebacker to the mound, and there's 2 down.
That's a nice job by Mitchell fielding his position and getting the speedy Jones. Just a little tapper. You work on this a ton in the fall, and a little pitcher fielding practice. Didn't panic and made the transition nicely. And they get Jones at the plate.
Great transfer by Ross Mitchell. He had to get that ball out of his glove and to the plate in a hurry, or else Jacoby Jones was going to beat the throw. So Bregman's now at first with 2 out, and here's Rafe Rhymes. Rhymes is 0 for in the series. 0 for 6.
You see Bregman over there at first base, got the batting helmet all taped up on the ear. Some guys get comfortable with their headgear. They don't want to change even when it gets cracked. And so he's got a little duct tape on there, athletic tape. But Bregman can run a little bit, even though he played catcher mostly in high school. He's got some good wheels. And here's how you know he's going to be a great player. Highly touted, the USA 16 and under, MVP one summer and all that. One of the hardest workers on LSU's team. That's how you know he's going to be a good one.
First base hit of the series, excuse me, for Rhymes, and there's runners at first and second.
This is what Ray Rhymes did a bunch last year, and that was just hit balls right back up the middle. You get a lot more room to play with if you go that way. You don't have to necessarily hit it a ton, and he didn't. He got it on his, he was jammed slightly, but he was able to close up and hit that ball right back up the middle for a base hit.
Okay, Ronnie Rance, now here comes your conundrum. You got Mason Katz coming to the plate.
Nowhere to put him.
And 2 aboard. There are 2 out in the inning. And Butch Thompson, actually this is John Cohen this time, coming out there to talk to Ross Mitchell. Mason Katz, 3 home runs in the series. Homered in his first at-bat earlier in this ballgame.
And you see it wasn't hit a ton. It looked like it even got down on the hands a little bit. When it first jumped off his bat, I know you and I thought it was kind of a fly ball to left field, just a deep fly ball to left field. It just kept going, and it ended up about 3 feet on the other side of the fence. That was really the only blemish on Evan Mitchell's line, other than a couple of 3 walks. But you know you're going good when you can hit a home run, even though you get jammed by a pitch.
And perhaps Mississippi State was ruining the fact that they have moved in the fences about 10 feet in left field from the foul pole to the left field gap. In some places, not a full 10 feet, maybe 6 feet, but they have moved in the fences, and that might have been the difference in a fly ball out for Katz last year and a home run this year.
No, absolutely. They can thank Mason Katz, can send a little care package thank you to the grounds crew that did that hard work.
They might throw that in the garbage. Ground ball hit to Frazier in the end of the inning. So after the visit by Cohen, they're able to get the ground ball, but Jacoby Jones has the big hit in the inning, driving in 2 to give LSU a 3-0 lead.
Wouldn't it be cool if we took the already great Sentra apart and completely reimagined it with best-in-class combined MPG? Not to mention more interior room than Corolla and Civic. And a technology suite with Bluetooth, navigation, and other handy stuff. Yeah, that would be cool. Introducing the all-new Nissan Sentra. It's our most innovative Sentra ever. Nissan, innovation that excites.
Three 3-0 LSU as Mississippi State bats here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Let's check out the scoreboard real quick in the Southeastern Conference. Vanderbilt a winner. Texas A&M. Arkansas now splits with Ole Miss with their victory today. South Carolina playing a doubleheader. And you can see that doubleheader was final. South Carolina won the first game. Missouri wins their first conference game. So that series is over. South Carolina won 2 out of 3. Here's Matthew Britton. Count now 2-0. Back to the scoreboard real quick. Kentucky came back and beat Florida. You saw Florida beat them last night here on CSS. And Alabama beats Tennessee 3-2. So Alabama, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, and South Carolina have all won their series for the weekend. And a split right now between Arkansas and Ole Miss. Britton struck out his first time up. 2-1 pitch. Swing and a miss from the offering from Eads. It's 2-2. You'll see the third game of that Ole Miss at Arkansas series tomorrow on CSS. It'll be a same-day tape delay at 5 o'clock Eastern, but you will see that live on CST. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Struck him out. Eads now with 6 strikeouts.
Through the first 2 innings, Ryan Eads was having command issues, with just the fastball. But then all of a sudden, And out into the third, he gained his composure, and you can see he's got good balance. He's down in his zone with his fastball, getting the breaking ball over as well. And even though Mississippi State has loaded their lineup with 7 lefties, he's starting to figure out that outside corner.
You're exactly right there, Ronnie. You take a look at the first 2 innings, he's threw 17 strikes and 18 balls. The last 2 innings, he's thrown 22 strikes and only 6 balls. And he leads off the 5th with a strikeout of Britton. Frazier fouls that off. It's 1-1.
LSU really needs, particularly after last night where they played an extra inning ball game and their bullpen was used up for about 4 1/3 innings or so last night. LSU not very deep in the bullpen. They've got a couple of good ones back there, particularly Chris Cotton, their saves guy. But in the middle relief is still a question mark for LSU. So they were hoping that Eads would give them a good solid performance, get them into the 7th or 8th so that they have less opportunity in that middle relief and then get right to Cotton. So this has been a good starting performance so far by Ryan Eads.
1-2 pitch to Frazier. That pitch was fouled off. No, he struck out. Apparently,
yeah, Frazier did. Yeah, Frazier just headed right to the dugout.
Didn't try to run it out.
Yeah. Umpire gave the all clear signal, so Ross was able to block it up. Right here, just the bottom just fell out of that slider. And that was exactly what you want. Slider in the dirt.
7 strikeouts now for Eads. Ground ball towards the hole, gets by Bregman into left field. That's hit number 4 for Mississippi State.
Now that's the approach that these lefty hitters are going to have to do for Mississippi State. Crowd the plate and take away that outside corner and just shoot it the other way. We saw Frazier do it earlier. Bradford, good balance right there and just barrels it up and doesn't try to pull that ball. If he pulls it, he's going to get a ground ball to second.
So Hunter Renfroe, who's been the hottest hitter for Mississippi State as of late, steps to the plate. He's 1 for 2 in this ball game. He's got a 6-game hitting streak. He's had at least 2 hits in every one of those 6 games.
Look at that average, 435. A year ago, he finished just over 250. So that's major improvement. He's cut down on the strikeouts, and he's just turned into the type of player that Mississippi State knew he was.
Hit to center field. Stevenson makes the grab, and that's going to end the inning. So hit sharply off the bat of Hunter Renfroe, but Stevenson's there to make the play, and Stevenson's made a number of fine plays in center field for LSU tonight. We have completed 5 with LSU on top 3-0.
Wouldn't it be
Back at Dudy Noble Field in Starkville, Mississippi. Matt Stewart and Ronnie Rance with you as we go to the top of the 6th. LSU on top 3-0. Ross Mitchell, the second pitcher used by Mississippi State in relief of Evan Mitchell. Christian Ibarra at the plate. Ibarra is 0 for 2 tonight. Struck out looking in the second and reached on an error in the 4th. And thrown out by Frazier here in the 6th. So 1 down in the top of the 6th inning.
Quite a different look when you go from the power pitcher and righty Evan Mitchell to the soft throwing Ross Mitchell. But there's been a number of guys that have had great careers in the SEC. Those, for 1 or 2 innings, on a Friday or Saturday night, they're the middle guy between the high draft pick, pro prospect to the closer. There's a lot of Ross Mitchells out there that have had nice careers in the SEC because the change is so drastic.
Alex Edward pinch hitting here for Tyler Moore, who was 0 for 2 on the night. Alex Edward 3 for 20 on the season, just a 150 batting average. No homers and 3 RBI. And he's quickly behind here 0-2.
Edward, a senior out of Parkview Baptist High School in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a program that's won a number of state championships at the 2 and 3A level over the years. Edward has had some big moments in an LSU uniform throughout his career, mostly in May and June. He's kind of been a guy that's gotten hot late. This year, they gave him an opportunity to be the right-handed hitter as a designated hitter, and then they'd go Tyler Moore as the lefty designated hitter, but he's gotten off to that slow start. He's a better hitter than that average. And I know Paul Maneri's hoping that Alex Edward can start to contribute.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Edward after he fell behind 0-2. Fouled off. Paul Maneri told us he really likes the balance of his team, 1 through 9 in the batting order. Feels like they can win a high-scoring game or a low-scoring game. Locked in a low-scoring game here tonight against Mississippi State. Counts now 3-2 to Edward. Hit to the right side, gloved by Ray. Toss to Mitchell, 2 down. Brings Ty Ross to the plate. He's 0 for 1. Walked and scored in that 5th inning. Scored on that bang-bang play at the plate on the double by Jacoby Jones, who drove him home. Right back to Ross Mitchell.
Easy stuff.
Yeah, Ross Mitchell's done a pretty good job with the glove there off the pitcher's mound in the last couple of innings since coming in for Evan Mitchell. It's a 3-up, 3-down inning. We're going to the bottom of the 6th. LSU on top 3-0. By Regions Bank, number 2 LSU leading number 11 Mississippi State. 3-0. Matt Stewart along with Ronnie Rance. And Ronnie, this one's been pretty easy to sum up. Solo homer by Mason Katz, 2-run double by Jacoby Jones, and Ryan Eads has been pretty good.
It's been the story of the weekend. Mason Katz doing the damage offensively for LSU. They've gotten some good pitching, but Mississippi State's had some chances. They've stranded some runners and left them on base a little bit. I know they're going to try to do a little better job of having those base hits when they count.
Well, Mississippi State sends the number 4 hitter, Alex Detz, to the plate to start this bottom of the 6th inning. You mentioned earlier, Ronnie, that there were only 3 teams in the SEC who had 10 or more hits last night, as Detz lost this one to left field, and Rhymes is there for the first out. Mississippi State was one of those teams, and they lost. And they have stranded now, let's see, 16, let me get this right, 17 base runners in this series.
Wow. And early on, they had some chances against Eads, but now he started to settle in and really find his rhythm. That time he was able to throw a changeup and get an out. And if you're Mississippi State, your game plan is to try to get Eads out of the game, get his pitch count up, put a little pressure, and hope that Paul Maneri will go to that bullpen. But right now, Eads looks very comfortable.
He's at 77 pitches right now. Trey Porter doubled and was stranded at second base back in the 4th inning.
Those are 2 excellent hard breaking balls. Porter, a fastball guy, and swung over the top of 2 of them.
Eads has gotten stronger as the game has gone on. 0-2 pitch, rocketed, fair ball down the line. Porter digs for second and will stop there. Consecutive doubles for Trey Porter. He slapped that one right down the line. And the Bulldogs again try to mount a rally here in the 6th.
This is a strange reaction by Mason Katz, LSU's first baseman. It's a bad pitch, 0-2. He hangs the breaking ball, but it's slammed. Katz, the way he moved and reacted, he thought it was foul. And it was signaled fair. Hard to tell from that time, that angle, but
well, I think Paul Maneri had a question about it too, as he was out to talk to Joe Marion, the home plate umpire.
See if we can tell from this angle whether this ball was fair or foul. It's a rocket shot, and it kind of disappears on us before we see it. It looked fair, and the first base umpire signaled clearly, but Katz's reaction was bizarre, and I think he even thought it was foul, but a rare mistake by Eads. He hasn't made many of the last 3 innings. That time he hung a 0-2 pitch.
Robson takes a strike from Eads, and it's 0-1. Let's take one more look at it. Let's see if we've got a better angle this time.
You see as Katz is kind of moving down, hit the chalk. We saw it hit the chalk before it hit the base line, but it's where the ball travels over the bag. It's not where it lands. And in the first base umpire's opinion, the ball did travel over at least a piece of the bag.
Ball bounces away from Ross, and sliding into third is Porter. Third wild pitch for Eads in this game. He had 3 wild pitches in his first 4 starts. He's got 3 here tonight.
That was a great read by Porter, because this is an important bag he picks up right here. Watch Porter shuffle. He reads in the dirt and he doesn't hesitate. Doesn't run overly well, but he had a great read, and the big fella goes head first into third base.
Mouthful of dirt, I think.
I think the grounds crew's going to have to fill in a divot over there at third base.
More like a crater. 1 ball, 1 strike. Up the middle. That's going to score a run as Jones throws out Robson. Robson plates the first run for Mississippi State. His 8th RBI of the season brings home Porter. It's 3-1.
Job well done by Robson. Runner at third, less than 2 outs. You have got to get that runner in. He did his job. He pulled the pitch on the right side. LSU was playing back, and we're all tied here in Starkville. That's why that move up by Porter was so big, to read that ball in the dirt and not hesitate. Didn't go too far from Ross, but it went far enough to advance him to third.
Wes Ray at the plate. Takes the pitch high from Eads. You mentioned Eads, that 0-2 pitch that Porter was able to slap down the line. And Maneri says that's in the past, that's been one of Eads' problems. He maybe tires a little bit, gives up something on that 0-2 pitch, and gives up, a base hit on an 0-2 pitch instead of being able to put that batter away. And that's something that he's really worked on here in his junior season to try to improve upon.
Yeah, that's something that, even if you just throw a bad pitch, but it's in the dirt, 0-2, at least that's the plan.
Yeah, don't give in.
Do not give in. Nobody on base. You're cruising. You're here in the 6th inning. You get it out. Go ahead and bounce it. And if he doesn't swing, then come back with a good 1-2 pitch. But that's one I'm sure Ryan Eads would like to have back. And Porter took advantage of a mistake, and good hitters, that's what they do. They hit mistakes, and he was able to get the double that wound up tying the game.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Wes Ray.
Coming close. I'm looking at the score off. LSU's up 3-1. Not tied. You got to fix me there. I don't know. That's some bad water or something.
Called strike 3 as Eads gets out of the inning. Strikeout number 8 for Eads, but Mississippi State finally gets on the board. We've completed 6 with the Tigers on top 3-1.
Wouldn't it be
Fans will not soon forget their big rally against this LSU team in the SEC quarterfinals last season. Luis Poyarena, a pitcher, came in to pinch hit. His sac fly tied the game at 3-3. And then in the 10th, Mitch Slaughter ripped a double to center field. Got in scoring position for Matthew Britton off the glove of Jacoby Jones into center field. And Mississippi State won on their way to the SEC Tournament Championship. They won 5 games in 6 days. In 6 games, the most difficult SEC Tournament Championship perhaps by any team ever, because they had expanded and were playing an extra day.
Yeah, that was an amazing run by the Bulldogs last year, and it came off of Nick Goody, who was one of the best closers in all of college baseball last year. They did all that damage late against him, and then went on to hoist the trophy in Hoover.
Goody, one of the noticeable players missing from this year's team, a 6th-round draft pick by the Yankees after posting 11 saves. The other guy that you won't see in an LSU uniform this year is Kevin Kosman, 1st-round pick of the Orioles after going 12-2 with a 2.77 ERA and striking out 135 in 123 innings.
You can't really replace those guys, but you can move on and have guys step up and do their job. But those are 2 special players that the Tigers are without, particularly Kevin Gausman, 93 to 98 miles an hour at times.
Stevenson starts the inning by popping up in foul territory to Detch. There's one down here in the 7th.
Stevenson right there didn't look very comfortable against the lefty Ross Mitchell, who drops down. He's kind of three-quarters. He's very difficult against lefty hitters, and against right-handed hitters, he's going to try to just let that ball run and move away from the hitter. You know, that natural lefty movement where you drop your fingers kind of on the side of the baseball and it spins away from the right-handed hitter.
0-1 pitch to Jacoby Jones is hit shallow right field. Charging in to make the play is Hunter Renfroe for the second out.
Mitchell in the rocking chair right now. He's just making it look easy.
Mark Laird will step to the plate. He is 0 for 2 in this game. Did walk his first time up. Tapper on the infield. Frazier, nice glove. Throw to first. Can't get him, though. That's an infield hit for Laird.
And that right there is why Paul Maneri is so high on Matt Laird, because this is an out for 98% of us mere mortals that walk the earth. But right here, Laird beats it out. He's got tremendous speed, and see, did he beat it out? Yeah, he got that left foot in there. If the ball's in the air, Laird's out, but because of the bounce, he was, see, his foot is in on the bag before the ball is in the glove. He runs about a 3.7, 3.8 down the line at first.
And the throw gets away, and Laird touches second. He's going to speed for third. Here comes the throw, and he's going to be in there safe with the head first slide. So Laird, his speed has turned this into a potential run-scoring inning for LSU.
That's a dynamic that LSU hasn't had a lot of over the last couple of years. Guys with that kind of blazing speed. Right here, you're paying attention to him because he's on the base. You know he wants to steal with 2 outs, and instead you throw one down the line. He takes a big old turn, but plenty fast enough to make it to third easily.
And what a big run this would be for LSU to answer the run that Mississippi State was able to score in the bottom of the 6th.
Now by having that runner at third, even though it's 2 outs, it makes Mitchell a little bit cognizant of that runner being there. He might not bounce that curveball in the dirt that LSU's had trouble with. He may hang it, and the Tigers have an opportunity.
Bregman at the plate. He's 0 for 3 today. First pitch to Bregman is a ball, 1-0. Bregman, number 6 in the conference with 29 hits. He's number 5 in the conference with 6 doubles, pardon me. He's number 8 in the conference with a .568 slugging percentage. Oh, yeah, and he's just playing his 19th collegiate game. 1-0 outside, 2-0.
Amarati, the catcher, a very good defensive catcher back there. He's got to be on his toes with the speedy Laird at third. He's got to make sure to keep anything in front.
Ball hit on the ground to Britton. Should be out of it, and Mitchell is. So the leadoff single, then the error by Mitchell does not hurt him, and the top of the 7th is over. Time for the 7th inning stretch. LSU on top 3-1.
I called
game recap. It all started back in the 2nd inning. The red-hot Mason Katz doing what he has been doing the last 7 games, homering for the 5th time. 9 now to lead the SEC. And then in the 5th, with 2 aboard, Jacoby Jones put one to center field. That scored Ross, and then Stevenson semi-hurdle of the catcher did fall on the plate to make it 3-0. Then Mississippi State finally gets on the board on the ground out by Robson, who scored Porter, who had doubled, to make it 3-1, and that's where we stand here in the bottom of the 7th. The other big story here tonight, Ronnie Rance, has been the pitching of Ryan Eads, who's thrown 87 pitches to this point, and really has been dynamic after the first 2 innings in which he had 18 strikeouts and 15 balls, a very bad ratio. He's 41 strikes and 11 balls since that 3rd inning.
His line so far, 6 innings pitched, 8 Ks, 2 walks, and that's a 4-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. That's very, very good. And Matt, I'll tell you, I think the key to LSU's season is Ryan Eads. He's got to be one of the top 3 or 4 Saturday pitchers in the SEC, and if he is, like he's capable of, then LSU can think about, you know, postseason and maybe getting back to Omaha. He's that important to this team.
2 balls and a strike. How about the job by Kevin Zomack, though, of Vanderbilt? Going back to that blog I continue to plug, he's my SEC pitcher of the week after 4 weeks. He carried a no-hitter into the 7th last night against Auburn, and he's now 5-0.
Big pitch here.
3 balls and a strike. And that's a strike. 3-2 now to Amirati, who's 0 for 2.
A walk to the leadoff will do a few things. One, it gives Mississippi State a better than 50% chance of scoring, but it also gets that bullpen maybe milling around. And
Rumbelow is the one who's running down there right now, number 38, as that ball is fouled out of play.
not sure what kind of real hardcore pitch count Ryan Eads is on, but I would venture to say 110, 115 is about the most they probably want to go with him. Right now he's at 94.
Brett Pirtle is going to pinch hit here after Amirati fouled out. Pirtle started at second base last night, whiffs on the first pitch, tried to put down a bunt. Pirtle on the season at 146, 1 homer and 4 RBI. Oh, 1 pitch. Outside, 1-1.
It was a big out for Eads, who fell behind 3-1 in the count. Came back to get the out. That slider missed badly upstairs. You can see Eads that, late in the game, when a pitcher starts to mill around a little bit on the mound, you saw he picked up the rosin bag, kind of regrouped, stepped off, took a look down the left field line. That's when you know they're maybe getting a little tired, maybe discombobulated. Paul Maneri sees that. He knows. Alan Dunn, the pitching coach for LSU, they'll pick up on those clues and start to get that bullpen going a little bit. Rumbelow is tossing down in the bullpen, as we can see from our vantage point.
3 balls and a strike. Fouled off. 3-2 now to Pirtle. Eads has been especially effective with the bottom 4 batters in the Mississippi State order. He has struck out 5 of those. So 5 of his 8 strikeouts have come from the bottom 4, and there's been only 1 base runner out of the bottom 4, and that was Wes Ray with a 1-out walk back in the second. 3-2. Blooper. Jacoby Jones is there to make the play. 2 down.
I think he threw a 3-2 changeup that time. And he was a little bit up in the zone, but he was able to hit it off the end.
So 2 outs here in the 7th.
2 straight batters that Eads has taken it to a full count, and that'll get that pitch count up in a hurry.
Here's Adam Frazier. Frazier is 1 for 3.
Tried to start Frazier off that time with a changeup and missed badly. It almost hit him. And that was, what, his 100th pitch?
Yep.
Of the game right there.
.1-0 pitch. Slapped at. Bregman. Long throw. Didn't get it. Infield hit for Frazier. Paul Maneri is going to come out to argue this one with Jay Asher.
I'll be curious to know if he thought his foot was off the bag, or if he says that the runner beat the throw. Because I thought the throw got the runner. Let's take a look. Bregman right here throws off balance. He may have been better suited.
Wow.
To gather his feet and throw with more steam, but I don't know. From that vantage point, it looked like he might have been out. Does he secure the ball?
I think
it's in the web.
Yeah, I think the ball beat the base runner.
Let's see right here. It's in the glove now.
Yeah,
he's out.
And you can see why. You can see why Paul Maneri was out there to argue with Jay Asher, because Maneri saw what you just saw there on the replay, and that's that the throw got there before Frazier. So Mississippi State catches a break here in the bottom of the 7th with 2 out. Now C.T. Bradford, who is 1 for 2, singled his last time up, steps to the plate. Strike thrown by Eads.
See if Mississippi State can take advantage of that, forcing LSU to get 4 outs this inning. Got to try to, like last night, Mason Katz should have been out, in the 8th inning when he slid past the bag on a wild pitch. And instead he was safe and wound up scoring on the very next at bat.
They appealed down to third base umpire Todd Henderson, who said he didn't go around.
That tied the game last night in a crucial moment. LSU able to take advantage of a mistake or blown call, and instead see if Mississippi State maybe gets it going here.
1 ball and 1 strike. Each to the plate. Curveball in there for strike 1 and 2.
You got to think here at some point they're going to send Frazier with a 1 ball 2 strike count, 2 outs. Frazier leads the team in stolen bases. This would be a good pitch to steal on. And if he gets thrown out, you can start the inning off with Bradford.
You got your 2, 3, and 4 lined up to start the next inning in the 8th. Mississippi State with 6 hits. They out-hit LSU last night 10-7. They're out-hitting LSU tonight 6-4. But just like last night when they lost, they're trailing here tonight 3-1. 1-2. Slapped out of play. Bradford was a 48th round pick by the Indians coming out of Pace, Florida High School. His dad played for Mississippi State back in the 80s, early 80s, a third baseman with the Bulldogs. Has 3 hits in the series. 1-2. He's able to lay off the fastball high. It's 2-2.
Now, that pitch was intended to be high. Ross, the catcher, got the signal from Alan Dunn, the pitching coach. They wanted a fastball up to make Bradford chase. And also gives them an opportunity to throw out a runner in that case if Frazier were going. But now let's see if they go back to the breaking ball to change the eye angle.
2-2. Hit to center field. Stevenson is there. And the inning is over. So again, Eads is able to shut the door on Mississippi State. He has been solid through 7 innings. Tigers lead 3-1. Baseball presented by Regions Bank. LSU trying to clinch the series here tonight after winning 6-4 in 10 innings last night. They lead at 3-1 as we go to the top of the 8th. Matt Stewart along with Ronnie Rance. Rafe Rhymes steps to the plate.
Now, Ross Mitchell has given Mississippi State what it was needing right here, and that's just some outs. He's kind of lulling these LSU hitters to sleep, and, giving them a chance to come back against LSU. This game a little different than last night in that LSU's had the lead for all of the game, but they've been out hit again. Last night LSU only got 7 hits. Mississippi State had 10, but Tigers won in 10 innings. Tonight LSU with only 4 hits, but yet they've scored 3 runs.
Brett Pirtle is now playing second base for Mississippi State after pinch hitting for Britton, and it gets under the glove of Pirtle. Into right field for the 2nd hit in a row for Rafe Rhymes.
5 hits now for LSU, but Mississippi State has 6. And now Rhymes is kind of going back to what he used to do, which is ground ball up the middle, ground ball the other way. And he hit this ball sharply. It would have been a great play, and almost was a great play by Britton, but it did, Pirtle rather, but it did get under the glove.
Rhymes has now reached base with his 2 hits here tonight in all 19 games this season.
See that guy right there on the right without the batting helmet? LSU's first base coach. That's a guy who's a pretty good hitter in his own right, Blake Dean.
I believe #2 all-time on the LSU RBI list.
He was a heck of a hitter. 2009 national champion, one of the best hitters on their team, and left-handed power hitter that the Tigers wish they had another Blake Dean on their roster. He's now a graduate assistant coach after a couple of years in the minor leagues with the Dodgers.
Pitching change coming up here as I believe Butch Thompson's out there to make the change.
And he gives you a different look, you know, so they're bringing in these kind of a sidearm submariner almost, which is tough on right-handed hitters. So Mason Katz is going to get a unique look here.
Katz goes after the first pitch and lofts it into center field, and Bradford camps under it and makes the play. So after the solo home run by Katz in the second, he's walked, hit into a force out, and popped up to center field.
And Katz not a little frustrated right there, as all good hitters do. They get a little, they think they should get a hit every single time up. But he was aggressive, got a good pitch to see by Gentry, but it was down in the zone, and Katz popped it up.
Ross Mitchell went 3 innings through 42 pitches, 28 of them strikes, gave up 4 hits and had 1 strikeout, and then Rhymes down at first base is still his responsibility. Evan Mitchell is the pitcher of record right now for Mississippi State. He would take the loss if the Bulldogs can't rally. He went 4+ innings, gave up 3 runs on 1 hit. That's a weird line. 3 walks and 4 strikeouts. And that's the reason why his line looks like that, is because he came out and then Ross Mitchell surrendered the double to Jacoby Jones that drove in the 2 guys that Evan Mitchell had left on base. So Ross Mitchell's line looks a whole lot cleaner than Evan Mitchell's line, but it was really Ross who gave up the big hit to Jacoby Jones.
That last pitch by Gentry just missed. Ball's got a lot of sink on it, so watch the catcher's glove is going to kind of give a little bit. When it crosses the plate, maybe catches a little bit of the knees, but as a pitcher, you always want those balls. You know, they're down in the zone. Fielding shortstop who can hit a little bit. Well, now he's a power hitting third baseman as his offense has come around a lot more than they expected.
Ball hit to center field. Bradford. Not as much carry in the outfield tonight. Last night had a pretty brisk wind that was blowing out. This Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, right here on CSS. Alex Edward, more of the DH, and now they're pinch hitting for Alex Edward and Sean McMullen, a 2012 junior college All-American out.
And that lefty-righty game with the designated hitters, Moore was in the game because of the right-hander Evan Mitchell, and then once he came, power for a little guy. Don't be fooled by his size. He's got some pop in that bat.
He did pinch hit pitcher Ross Mitchell. Miles Gentry trying to finish out the inning here. There's a strike, 3-1.
And 2-time national champion with LSU, one of the all-time greats.
5-pitch walk. So 2.
Ryan Eads and Aaron Nola, their Fridays and Saturday starters are just strike throwing machines.
Ty Ross punches it in the hole between first and second. Here comes Rhymes. He will score without a throw. Throw goes back into second, where McMullen had strayed off the base path and was thrown out. But the run does count as Rhymes touched the plate before McMullen was thrown out at second. And so LSU will take a 4-1 lead to the bottom of the 8th. Base hit by Ross, but a heads-up play by Renfro instead of going to the plate. He saw McMullen off the bag. Rhymes scored the run. If Ryan Eads, if LSU can hold on to the win here, Eads will improve to 4-0 on the season. This night's victory.
Here you see Bourgeois' numbers, 10 innings, 2.70 earned run average, and has that one on that good slow breaking ball that you see.
In a 3-3 ball game when Mississippi State had a chance to maybe win it.
You got Renfro to this LSU bullpen. They know what they have, and they're starting. Had some surgeries throughout his career. He's been up and down, but he's kind of starting to put it together here his senior season.
2-2 pitch, called strike 3. here in the bottom of the 8th. One of 5 double plays that Mississippi State has hit into in this. Slowly hit on the ground to Jones, 2 outs.
Just scuffling, hitting about 330
yeah,
now.
exactly.
You know,
really
I mean, so or 340, 350, which for him is about 100 points less than people expect. So I think they've got a lot of room to improve.
0-1 pitch. In there for a strike, and it's now 4-1. LSU leading here, and we're late. 1-2 pitch. Hit out of play Wednesday night, but we're going to be naming our all-time SEC team as we go throughout the season, be voting on it every week, and Porter picks up his 3rd hit of the game. The only run that Eads allowed. Robson swings and misses. Big surprises of the season. Left-hander Cody Glenn, a sophomore who's 3-0 and an ERA of 0.
Chris Bonvillain, all of a sudden, Goody looked so good during the middle of the week, they had to put him on the weekend, and he hasn't disappointed.
Popped up, shallow center field. Stevenson, easy play for him, and the inning is over. So LSU is popped up to the 3rd baseman back in the 7th. Was hit by a pitch in the 3rd and put down. Strike.
Stevenson in center and Mark Laird in right, and they're kind of the same. These 2 guys, and Stevenson and Laird, will be in this lineup for the next 3 years for LSU. They're that good.
Good maybe overshadows the fact that he's a good outfielder, but the best outfield would be the one that I just stated. Jacoby Jones at the plate. He's got the big hit in the ball game.
So he will be out there except for an occasional off day where they may. Right.
You don't want to do anything that's going to screw up his hitting. That ball is cranked towards the gap in left center field, and it is high off the wall. Stevenson's got great speed, touches 3rd. Here comes the throw, and they're going to send him back to 3rd, and wisely so. Stand up.
Right, as a hitter, you want to be comfortable and be able to easily pick up the ball off Laird because he's going to be coming from behind him with the delivery. And you see Laird kind of no chase. Watch how he's got the elbow up in the air and he's hunched over, and then 3/4 delivery.
Back to Gerardo, looks the runners back, throws the first one out. Here with 2 aboard and 1 out, and now Alex Bregman at the plate. First pitch to Bregman is a
field in for Mississippi State. So Bregman trying to get a fly ball to the outfield.
Strike. 6 games, batting .542 with 4 doubles. He was 13 for 24. Hits this one in the air to deep left field. It might have a chance, and it is gone. Bregman unloads with a 3-run homer. It's the 2nd home run of his career, and the game has been officially blown open.
Now Bregman was just simply trying to get a fly ball to the outfield, and he got a hanging curveball. And
Ambra steps up to the plate for the first time tonight. Or running is amazing. He broke his plane.
He wore one of those halo cages, you know, to play fall baseball. Came back, and you know, October rolled around, and he was in there 100%. Had a very LSU.
Well, let's face it, LSU is a national brand when it comes to baseball and football, I would say. LSU with 6 Miami, the 6 national championships. Southern Cal has more, but they all
players. But the best person LSU ever recruited was Skip Bertman, who came from Miami, pitching coach in I think '82 when they won a World Series, and then eventually came to Baton Rouge in the fall of 1983 and turned
10th among active coaches in career victories. 2-2 to Chinea, hit in the air. Robson,
of course, comes from that way. A former LSU great basketball player who helped.
Ibarra at the plate, looking for his first hit of the night, and just got it. He walked when he pinch hit an inning ago. Back up the middle, Frazier will step on the second base bag, and that brings the top of the 9th to a close.
Save him till tomorrow, but I think it goes to show you how important Pulmonary takes just winning the series. We don't care about the
ball. Use Cotton.
Yeah, he started already kind of stretching and tossing, It probably wasn't normally if Cotton is on. He's going to be pretty minimal with his pitch count this inning anyway.
Amarati batting, swings and misses in 36 appearances last year. He's a great story. That ball is lined into left field. That's going to be a base hit. And Amarati is going to touch first and take a wide turn and stop.
Changeup, fastball, and a curveball. He's mid-80s. Occasionally, when he's feeling real good, he'll run it up there upper 80s.
Wow, that ball is going to be out of here. Brett Hurdle. Only 6 hits on the entire season. Prior to that one right there, just hit his second home run to make it 7-3.
No quit on these Bulldogs. That is a John Cohen trademark. And both hits have come off fastballs. And Hurdle knew he got it. I mean, you saw that little piece of showmanship there as he flipped the bat and squared it up. But both hits have come off of Cotton's fastball, which again isn't the.
Here in the bottom of the ninth to make it 7-3. Still a lot of cushion and breathing room for LSU as Frazier takes a strike, and it's now 0-2. And there are a lot of them, and I'm not saying Cotton's one of these guys. I know that John Cohen has said that Jonathan Holder is one of those guys. You put a closer in a situation where it's not a safe situation, some guys in that role just can't get the job done.
Baseball, you see it in college baseball. Guys that are used to being closers coming in with the game on the line, with a 1-run game, 2-run lead, 1-run lead, 2-run lead, everything on the line. When you get out there and it's a 6-run lead, you're throwing a lot.
Swing and a miss. So barring an utter collapse here, Mississippi State will lose for the 4th time in 5 ball games since their 17-0 start. They'll be 18-4, while LSU will improve to 18-1, and they will run their winning streak to 12 games. Base hit for Bradford. That's back
if there's a save situation.
Hunter Renfroe takes a big swing. No 1 pitch. Line.